I think you're good at a lot of things by now, things that you're going to use in this project. Okay. Imagine for a moment that you are going to say, I'm going to be a engineer someday, and I'm going to have a salary of $70,000 a year. Okay, that's one of the first things you do in this project is you pick your job. And you can't just pull a number out of the air like I just did right there. You've got to Google it and then keep track of where you found it. It might be like monster.com, or it might be a Google search that then references a different website. You'll have to say where you found proof that your job would pay that much. Okay? And I've decided I'm not even going to try to say, in the old days, we used to not let kids be a doctor or a pediatrician or whatever, just because we tried to make the project be after 4 years of college, you are out and you want to buy something. But I don't see any reason, there's nothing in the project now, the old project used to say, after 4 years, there's no reason we have to just do it that way. So if you decide you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a dentist or whatever, you can just say that, look up the salary, use the numbers that come up. And we're not even going to say you have to be a first-year dentist or doctor or lawyer, okay? So you can even find the average. I would not recommend that you take anything higher than the average, though, or then you're starting to really stretch. You'll probably be able to be an average, whatever it is, someday, not too long from now. Okay, so I pick engineer, I look it up, I find out that an average engineer is making $70,000, and I pick that for my income. Here's a common mistake. Kid said, but you said we could spend 15% of that per month on this toy. Not exactly. Would you please, you all have calculators out, type in 70,000 times 15%. That will not be what the right answer is. That's 15% of your annual salary, which is how much? How much? 10,500-ish. I'm rounding here, right? Okay, that's now got to get divided by 12. Or you could have divided by 12 before you took 15%. Either way, it's going to be the same number. You divide that by 12. Why? Because we do these problems monthly. Now, how much is that? All right, then that means you have $875 a month to play with. That's the important to find. Because then one kid last hour was like looking up a really expensive car, and they were like, but the payments on the car are $1,000 a month. And I'm like, well then, what do you think I said? You're not going to be able to afford that. You can't do that. You know what I mean? That's a reality of life you run into is like, well, I want to be a teacher and I want to drive a Porsche. Okay, unless somebody gives you the Porsche, that's probably not going to work. You know what I mean? Or unless you want to save for a long time, or you want to buy a used Porsche. There's always a way to make it work, but you're not going to start as a brand new teacher or even a middle year teacher and then go to the bank and get a loan for a brand new Porsche. It's not going to work because you can't pay more than this. That's an important number to get. So get that early in your project. Does everybody understand how I got that number? Any questions about that? Okay, then next, you're going to decide something to buy. And it can be college. I talked up the college end of this thing. If you want to do the college thing because that's the most interesting to you, do it. And I'd encourage you to find the total price for 4 years and then cut it in half and say that's how much you'll have in loans. That's not actually normal, but it's very simple and easy to do because you can add up the 4 years and divide by 2. I know that our college counselors here would say, you don't want to do that. And I agree. You don't want to take half your college cost in loans. It's so much loans. It would hurt so bad when you were done. So don't do that. But for this project, that would be an easy way to do it. And I also don't want to be unreasonable like, well, I'm going to go to the $70,000 school, but I'm only going to take $3,000 a year in loans. That's not going to work. If you want to go to a really expensive school, you'll have bigger loans. So you have to pick some number. If you're doing college, find out the total for 4 years, cut it in half. How many of you are thinking about doing the college option? All right, so you like 6, that's what you should do. Okay, how about the people that are thinking about buying a thing? Well then, easy way, if the rest of you guys are probably buying a thing, you're going to probably want to go someplace and actually find the thing. You can't just say, I want to buy a $7,000 snowmobile. I want to see the actual snowmobile you're buying. And here's a great place to go. You go to Craigslist, Craigslist.com, and you type in snowmobile. and then it pulls up. I think on the last time I looked, there was like 170 of them for sale on Craigslist. And the cool part is you've got pictures of them, you've got the price. And that's a real price. You know what I mean? Like some guy will give you that deal today because he's selling his snowmobile. You know what I mean? This isn't like some fantasy price. It's a real price. Now, granted, you can a lot of times talk people down on their prices. They start with whatever. Some people are really picky about that, like, no, my price is my price. And other people expect that, you know, I priced in that they might offer me a little less. So some people don't mind bargaining a lot. All right, so anyway, you're going to find something that you're buying. You need to take a picture of it, like a screenshot, for the portion of your project that's not just the numbers. There's a portion of your project where you actually have to show me something, like Google Slides. I'd say 9 out of 10 people probably put it in Google Slides because it's pretty simple. You just paste in a few pictures and put in a few text boxes with some text, and then it's, you know, it's not that hard to do. Okay, so you realize now that you're going to buy a snowmobile that's, let's say, $7,800, and now, why does the project have two parts? Because in one situation, you're going to take a loan for it. Please listen to these common answers to questions I get all the time. Can I put some money down on it? No. In the real world, I get you'd probably pay $1,000 of cash and then take a loan for the rest. For this project, would you please just keep it simple? If you're going to buy an $8,000 snowmobile, then you just put all $8,000 on the loan. Because if you're going to do some kind of a hybrid, it's going to make your project really complicated. Okay, so just take the whole thing in a loan. What percent should I pay on my loan? Google. You go into Google and you type in car loan interest rates. Boom. It's going to give you a website, you know, cars.com or whatever will tell you what interest rates are on cars right now. Take that. It's too complicated. If we wanted to make this real world, it would depend on your credit. It would depend on what type of car you were getting, because used car loans are sometimes different rates than new car loans. We just want to get a ballpark. We just don't want you making up a total number like, I'm going to get 1% interest. Yeah, nobody's going to give you that. You want to see what real car loan rates are at right now. Okay, so you're going to Google that part. And last but not least, I want to make sure you still can do the TVM solver. Everybody take this $7,800 car. And another question I get, a snowmobile, I think is what I was saying. And I get this question all the time. They say, well, I don't get, should I make payments that are this 15% of my income? No. You make payments that will pay it off in 5 years. Everybody just do a 5-year loan, except for the college people. If you're doing a college one, then a typical payoff for college loans is 10 years. You try to set them up to pay them off after 10 years. Now, there also is a strategy where if you happen to be working for a nonprofit or et cetera, sometimes there's these loan forgiveness deals, in which case you want to try to stretch your loans out as far as you can, because after 10 years of making payments, sometimes they will wipe out the rest of it for you. But that's only if you're working in certain special areas that the government wants to support. Okay, would you please put in the TVM solver and find out for me, if we use 60 months, which is 5 years, and let's use 6% interest. You Google snowmobile rates if you want to get the exact number, but I'm using 6. And then present value is my loan, $7,800. Payments, I don't know what that is. So that's what I solved for. Remember how to do solve? All right, do this on your calculator right now. Compare it with the kid sitting next to you. See if you get the same payments as they do. If you need a calculator, come up now, please, to borrow it. All right, I'm doing alpha and then solve. That combination of the 2 red keys there. Now, all the time, kids are asking me, all right, so I thought I was supposed to use payments of $875. No. That was how much your max was. Do you get that this payment of $150.80, if I round it right, is easily within your max? Like, you can afford that. See what I'm saying? All right. So when would you ever use $875 for the payment? That's on the second part of the project where you aren't doing a loan anymore. On the second part of the project, you halfway through the sheet, you'll see this part that says investment. That means you're going to save for this snowmobile. How much can you afford to save? 150 a month? No, that was the loan. That's completely different. If you want to save, that's where you could save $875 a month. So everybody reset this now to being interest is only going to be 3%. Why? Because that's about what banks, online banks, will pay you in interest. Why are they paying you interest? Because you're putting your money in and waiting. You're not buying the snowmobile yet. You're going to save for it. You're going to save $875 a month for a certain number of months. Okay, so it's interest 3%. Present value, well, presently, if you're saving for it, you have nothing. Payments, remember payments are coming out of your checking account, so they're negative. Negative $875. So what's the future value? That's the point. We want to know how much the future value is going to be after a certain amount of time. In other words, how much do we want to save up in the future? Remember, the goal was to buy a snowmobile. $7,800 is the future value. In the future, we want $7,800. All right. Now, what should I solve for? The payments. No. I already know the payments. They have to be $875. Well, they don't have to be, but that's how much you can afford to stick in the bank. So, what should we solve for? Months. The amount of time. The top. I thought you said it was always a 5-year loan. It is. If it's a loan, is this a loan? No. So that doesn't have to be 5 years. Don't you think at $875 a month you're going to save it up a lot faster than 5 years? Think about it. That's a lot of money you're saving every month. So let's solve here. Alpha solve. Do you get how it's 8.8 months, about 9 months, you'll have saved enough to get your snowmobile. Okay, and then I always have to answer this part. People are like, so how do I compare that to the interest I would have paid? In other words, does it save you money? Yeah. How much money does it save you? Well, it saves you money because you would have had to pay interest, and now because you're waiting, you're going to wait, how long again? About 9 months before you buy this snowmobile. You want it to pay any interest. So what you got to do is figure out how much interest would you have paid on the loan. You see what I'm saying? And then how do you figure that out again? Well, now we got to go back to the loan thing. And do you remember that it was 60 months of payments of $150 payments? And if I take 60 times 150, that'll tell me how much I paid on the loan. And I might be off by a few pennies because I might be rounding here, but basically I paid $9,000 on my loan. But I thought I was only paying $7,800 for my snowmobile, but I actually paid $9,000. Why? Interest. So do you get, if you save up the money, you won't have to pay any interest? Does that make sense? All right. So obviously, financially, it's smarter to not have to pay the interest and just save up the money for it. But why do people actually take out loans then? Why don't they just wait, save up for it? Well, sometimes your car dies. Can you just tell your boss, hey, 9 months from now, I'm going to have another car because I'm saving for it right now? No. Your boss actually expects you to get to work. And so if your car has died, sometimes you have to be like, got to get the car now, got to get the loan now. I don't care if I'd save money by saving for it. See what I'm saying? Now, if you plan ahead, the dream scenario is you realize your car's getting kind of old, and you go, okay, I better start saving for my next car. And you save, and then about the same time your car dies, you got enough saved, and then you go buy your car, and you don't have to pay any interest. Sweet deal. All right. So how do you figure out the interest? You take your payments, and you multiply them all out, and this came out to $9,000, and then you subtract off what you originally paid, and that left us with $1,200 in interest saved. Plus, you can even figure out how much interest you made on your little investment. What are you talking about? Okay, because remember how we were saving $800 a month in the TVM solver? It's under apps, finance, TVM solver. What you can do to figure out the interest is you figure out how much total money did I put in. I put in 8.82 payments of 875. See what I'm saying? 8.82 payments of 875. So I'm going to go out and go 8.82 times 875. There. Wait a minute. I thought it added up to 7,800. It does. Why is this only adding up to 7,700? Because there's going to be some interest. You will have made a little bit of interest. That's why it actually takes you less time to save it up, because a little bit of money is growing in there. Like you're getting your little 3% over time. You only did it for 9 months. You don't expect to get a ton of interest in 9 months. So the interest wasn't much. It was the 7,800 that we needed compared to how much we actually had to put in. And it's bigger because of the interest. This much in gave us that much total. Subtract the two, you'll know how much interest you made. All right, there. Now, you might not have followed all of that, but I did just record it, and you could go listen to it again. Here's some of the things I get all the time. But I can't afford this thing now. Well, then pick a smaller thing or get a bigger job. It's true in the real world, too. If I'm a teacher and I really want a brand new Porsche, well, then I better get a second job, or maybe I find a used Porsche. Okay? So if your payments are too big, well, then you either get a bigger job or buy a smaller thing. Number two, if it's the loan, do a 5-year payoff. If it's the investment side, invest 15% of your monthly income, not your annual income. Okay? And then the last thing is, how am I going to actually put all of this, like, when I'm done, what do? We've got this worksheet. You're going to drop that in one Dropbox. Then there's a Google form where you click on it. It's going to ask you to log into Google, use your student account. You're probably already logged into Google, so it'll be fine. And then you type in all the numbers there on the Google form. And last but not least, you're going to make a small presentation. That could be a movie. It could be, most kids just do Google Slides. And you're going to put in the pictures, like, here's where I found my interest rate. Here's the picture I took, screenshot of the snowmobile I'm buying. Here's the screenshot of where it says that pediatricians actually make $93,000 a year, or whatever it says. Okay, so it's kind of like your backup documents. You just put those into that Google Slides or an iMovie, or you could do a speech in front of the class for a few minutes. I would expect you to have one picture behind you at least, because it's so boring to just talk. Okay, there you go. You got the whole project. I just showed you an example of a whole project. Now you got to do your project, and you got all day today, all day tomorrow, and then that's it. Actually, tomorrow at the very end of the hour, I'm going to start doing something different. So you don't even have a whole day tomorrow. It's due Wednesday midnight. Wednesday midnight. Okay, that's all I got for you for today.